So I don't think there's been a whole lot of Rui Hachimura talk this season. He may not be in the Rookie of the Year race, and he's not really a bust either, so he's just kind of the in-between where it's like, yeah, he's pretty alright. So let's talk about him. The thing with Rui is, there is a world in which he is kind of the ideal power forward for today's NBA, because he is already a pretty damn good finisher who I think has a lot of potential as a post-up player and could grab a lot of rebounds. He's already grabbing about 2 offensive rebounds a game in his rookie season, 5 rebounds total. But I also think he's got potential as a defender, a transition guy, a shooter, but these things are going to need some work. I also think his general reading of the game needs some work. So let's talk about this whole thing. We are going to start with the finishing. So he's shooting 72% from the rim. It's pretty damn alright. He is not scared of contact. He has been blocked a few times this season, but it's the blocked where it's like he goes right into the defender, and you think if he just keeps doing that, he's going to draw a lot of fouls. I mean, he hasn't shot many fouls this season, and maybe that's because referees just don't want to give it to him like that. Maybe he doesn't totally know how to draw contact just yet. But I could see that being something in his game where he just kind of finishes through defenders sometimes and ends up shooting solid 5 or 6 free throws a game or something. Potentially more if his handle can really come around. We'll have to see there. Specifically in the half court. I think he's already shown some handles in the full court. So I think that's step 1 with Rui, is just being a really awesome inside scorer. Cutting, rolling, post-ups, alley-oops. He is in the 65th percentile of post-up dudes right now. He's averaging about 2 post-ups a game, 0.96 points a possession, which is pretty good because there's a lot of dudes who are like point nothing. So yeah, he's got a little hook shot. I think he's a little too quick to go to a turnaround jumper sometimes, and we can talk about that in a second. But I do think there's potential there for him to attack mismatches and things like that. He's already 230 pounds, and he probably can put on some more weight. So that's the biggest thing for me with Rui, is I think he really can be an awesome inside scorer, and he kind of already is, but I feel like he could do more of it. I mean, his percentage of shots at the rim is about 36%. I feel like that could be higher. So that's step 1. But if we move on to those jump shots that I was kind of alluding to, his form, it's not textbook, but it's certainly not bad. If you're looking at just his standstill catch and shoot threes, I mean, he hasn't attempted many threes, about 1.5, and I think he should definitely keep on doing what he's good at. But, I say ideal power forward for today's NBA. That would mean that you could make some threes. I would like to think he can be alright. I mean, his last year in college, he shot 42% on 36 threes a game, which is damn near nothing, but it's still something nonetheless. His free throws were solid 74% on 200 free throw attempts, a little bit over 200, so I don't know. I think his shooting is going to be a process, but maybe. I think there's been enough signs to where we can be optimistic about his shooting down the road. But one thing that I do want to talk about is he does have a tendency to go to pull-up jumpers, and it's kind of this weird leaning fadeaway that has a little bit of like a side-to-side movement to it. Funny enough, he's actually been good for mid-range this season. He's shooting 52% around like 13 feet, and long twos he's shooting about 42%. But I'm skeptical if that's going to hold up, because a lot of them are not very good shots. So, I mean, maybe he's just the next great mid-range shooter, but I don't think so. I think those percentages are gonna dip down as the season goes along, and I would prefer if he just didn't shoot them at all and just kind of was more about being a bulldozer to the rim. But of course, to be a bulldozer to the rim, you've also got to refine your ball handling a little bit, and he definitely needs to do that. I mean, I mentioned in transition, I think Rui can do some things. If he grabs the rebound, he can bring it up floor himself. And if I didn't already mention, I think he can be a really good rebounder. But in the half court, playing in the pick and roll, trying to beat a guy off the dribble, attacking a closeout, Rui's definitely got some progress to make, which is okay. I mean, the dude's 21. Don't expect him to be a finished product this early. I think another part of this is Rui's just general reading of the game. I mean, there have been times where he rolls to the rim and he just has set it in his brain that that's what he's going to do, and then he runs into a defender and it's either a foul or it's not the best shot in the world, or the possession just kind of dies, and while this is happening there's a dude open in the corner, so he's got to work on those type of things. There was this play I saw where there was a fast break, and I think it was Troy Brown was running with him, and he could have just dished it to Troy for an easy 2 points, and instead Rui tried to finish through the big man, and it's like, okay, you didn't really need to do that. So those are the type of things Rui is going to have to clean up, and hopefully the Wizards have the coaching staff and all that in place to help him with those things, but a lot of these things are like normal rookie things, you know, like there's a lot of rookies who take questionable mid-range jumpers, and again, he's actually making them, so maybe I'm wrong and he really is like an awesome mid-range dude, but there's that, and rookies usually have a tough time with predicting what the defense is going to do and stuff, so that's all okay. You know, the things that he needs to work on are normal rookie things. Like, it would be a problem if he couldn't finish, or if he looked too small or not athletic enough, and that's not the case. He definitely has been pretty good for the Wizards. Now, defensively, he's got some progress to make, but the whole team needs to get better on defense. I don't really know if it's his fault, and I don't think you're really going to get much of anything from his defensive advanced stats when the whole team is bad there, so I'm not really bothering with all that. But I think he's got potential defensively. I mean, he's got a 7'2" wingspan, and he's a good athlete. So to sum this whole thing up, I like Rui. I think he can be a great finisher. I think his handle, while it definitely needs some improvement, I think it's good enough for his position and all that, to where we think with some seasoning he can be pretty good there, and potentially one day be like a real ball handler you can go to. I mean, he can dribble in transition off of a rebound. He can also make like 1 or 2 dribbles off of like setting a screen and all that. It's just, you know, starting from the top of the key and that sort of stuff. I don't really know if he can do that just yet. And we'll see on the mid-rangers. Maybe he's real from there. I don't think he is, but that's okay, and hopefully the 3 can be a thing. So the Wizards, I think they did pretty good with the Rui pick. I mean, if you look at all the guys that went after him, we're looking at Cam Reddish, Cam Johnson, PJ Washington, Tyler Hero, Romeo Langford, Sekou Doumbouya. You know, some of those guys you could say are better than him. Some of them are probably going to be worse than him. So it was good. It was pretty solid. Now, if you want to get nitpicky, could it have been better? Yeah, potentially, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. And for a Wizards team that just needed some talent, I think they got this one right. And now, hopefully, if they can finally give my guy Troy Brown some consistent minutes, then I think he could be something for them as well. So, you know, between Beal and Rui and maybe another pretty good draft pick this coming draft, perhaps things could be looking up for these guys. But anyway, yeah, Rui's pretty good.